because there's nothing on the tax roll. They have a lot of real estate sitting around empty doing nothing. And the Davison Road disaster out there, as far as I'm concerned, that was a total mess. They sold the thing, that they sold it to the church, or they gave it to the church.
What is going on with that?
Well, supposedly it's all sold, and I can't remember the church. Somebody told me about the church.
The Christian, the school thing,
Right.
yeah.
I don't know how many acres they got, but none of that's going to go on tax rolls. That's all tax exempt.
Right.
Because they're not for profit, or just the way it was set up?
It's a whole thing, yeah. So again, we got real estate that's again doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Been doing nothing for years, still doing nothing. And my idea for the county is to, instead of doing all that, they should have consolidated everything out there. They had at one point, 200 almost 200 acres back there, 175 acres. They could have put a lot of their whole system out there and made it centralized. I know maybe it's a hardship for Niagara Falls, but it isn't a hardship for the people in Middleport or Barker or Lockport. I mean, you have to travel, you're gonna have to travel no matter where you go. If they move it up in Niagara Falls, what are we gonna do? We're gonna same thing going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
We could have upgraded all that stuff, got rid of all these foolish leases that we have with different people that were tied into for, I don't know, God knows how long. And I know they're very expensive. I mean, that would cost, yeah, the initial cost is gonna be, but bottom line is, yeah, we're not gonna collect any taxes on that real estate, but we're also gonna consolidate everything so it's in one place. I mean, I thought that for 2 or 3 years, and I don't know how many people I told that told me I was nuts. Oh, okay, I'm nuts, but look what we got now. We're scattered all over the place.
Would you be in favor of that now?
I think so. I mean, if they had to knock half of that down or all of it, fine. Rebuild it. You could have the highway garage out there, you could have the motor vehicle bureau, you could have a lot of things out there, I think.
Are you a registered Republican?
Yes.
Okay. 'Cause you got a lot of Republican ideas. Are you gonna caucus with
I'm
Democrats?
not gonna caucus with anybody, I'm gonna caucus with the public,
Okay.
the consensus.
But I guess from a voter standpoint, from our editorial board standpoint, because there still could be a pretty major majority and a pretty major minority, if everything's said and done, if the lot remains the same, would we be better off going behind somebody who could get in with the Democrats and say, hey, maybe we should, or could even get in with the Republicans and say, maybe this Democratic idea is something that we should get behind. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got the Democratic backing going into the general election, so I don't know.
Well, I got asked that this morning, I said, you're gonna change your affiliation. I said, why would I do that?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna change my affiliation. I told them right out, when they come, they asked me. I
Right.
didn't ask them.
Right.
Excuse my voice, I've had laryngitis for 5 minutes and I'm kind of wheezing away. But anyway, I said, if you're gonna do something here for me, I said, fine. I said, I wanna get it right straight now, that there's no concessions being made on my side either. I said, so there's no attachments. I said, if you wanna help me out, fine. He said, well, we help, we hate your opponent, blah, 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 and
Right.
the other endorsement. But anyway, I said, fine. But I said, I want that understood before we start, otherwise you might as well just get in your car and go home. It isn't gonna happen. I'm not changing my affiliation. I said, we got a lot of bad Republicans and we got a lot of bad Democrats. I said, let's both face this. We do. But I said, I think in this area, we got a few Republicans that are just going way over the beam, and I'm just not gonna tolerate it as long as I'm alive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I feel about it. I mean, I'm not changing nothing. And they're endorsing me fine, but, because I got that question asked me this morning, I said, it's gonna happen. I'm not changing. I gotta believe in things. I want things done right. We're capable of doing things right. If we get the right, this whole garbage of everybody, well, we'll do this and the old buddy system, and then you help me, I'll help you, and we'll move this around. Well, that's okay, fine, but look at the mess we're in.
What's your strategy for dealing with the real politics that goes on behind the closed door?
Well, I mean, I'll be in there with them, but I'm not gonna caucus with them. I believe in what I believe in, and I'm gonna stand hard on it. I mean, that's the way I am on the zoning board. I mean, I got beliefs about certain things, and we go to bend so far, and that's what's gonna happen. If it doesn't, well, I guess I'm gonna be the only lone standout there.
Yeah.
What do you think about the size of the legislature?
It's too big. We should go down to 11. That's in my little note thing, or my little thing I was sitting around to my people. They like that too. They said, well, that was a great idea. I said, we got too many people. What do we got all the people for? They used to run this county years ago, one supervisor. We had a lot more people now, we had a lot more industry. Look at the result. We got no industry. We're losing people anyway. I mean, regardless of everything's going on, we're still losing people. And now we got 19 people telling us how stupid we are. I mean, come on. I mean, let's face it. The taxpayers, they aren't listening to the taxpayers. That's the trouble. I don't think they are at all. I think they get on a mission, they just say, well, it's okay. It's just like, it reminds me of a perfect example, and I've watched General Motors do this for years. They'll build a car, they won't ask anybody what it's supposed to be or anything they want. They'll just build a car, come out with it, shove it down your throat, and somebody the public will take it. Well, that's the same thing we got here. They'll put these bills through, they'll spend this, then, they'll always come up with these wonderful ideas, next thing you know, well, that's all right. Taxpayers don't care, they'll just accept it the way it is. And, you know, I saw that in the voters. The primary, most primaries were never over 250 votes for our town. We got 3,000 registered voters or better. What's that telling you? Nobody cares. So I think the politicians are just taking advantage and say, they don't care, they're not even listening, let's go for it. That's exactly what happens. I mean, at least with my primary, I got 471 or 497 people actually out to vote in the primary. It's almost double what it's been in the last 5 years. Because I ran the machines prior to that. We had primaries, one district with one vote in it one time, across in the Woodlands. I couldn't believe that. Me and Paul Cole was my Democratic guy for the voting machine. Would go around to do this stuff. He says, can you believe this? He said, you know how much money we're wasting here? I said, you know how many people we aren't getting to? Or they don't care? Why don't they care? I mean, they just so full of rhetoric after a while, they just over their head. I don't know. I mean, I hope the general election will be better than that.
Yeah. So how many did you carry in the?
167 or 170. No, 208. I think I carried.
And he had how many?
He beat me by I think 67 or 69. I did pretty good.
Yeah.
Considering a new joke on the block. I mean, a lot of people called me up and said, "Boy, you did really well for the first time out."
I'm just trying to do the numbers for if they come out to the general and, the same.
Well, they'll quote me. I mean, I made 5 or 7 because there was originally I think 197 or 196. Then
right.
they had their
write-ins.
The write-ins,
Yeah.
and not the write-ins, but